So you can see when this starter hasn't been fed for a couple days, you can still see some bubbles in it, but it's been on my counter where it's been a little warmer, so this probably will be similar to the starter you have, where there's probably some bubbles, and it smells very, very, very sour, like almost like vinegar, and that's because it's hungry, it needs to be fed, and it's very watery and thin. So what I do is I'm going to pour out a bunch of this. I'll try to get a video of it. I only saved like 25 grams, so there's probably 125 grams in here. Oh, more than that. There's probably 225 grams because there's about 25. And then I put in 100 grams of flour, 100 grams of water. If you've got a scale, that's the easiest way to do it. And then I would get at least 2 to 3, I would say 3 good healthy feedings in before you actually use it to bake. So feed it like tonight, or you could feed it now and then feed it again tonight, then feed it again tomorrow. Maybe feed it tomorrow night, and then you could bake with it on whatever that is, Saturday. That would be give you the best results. And you can see in much of, like this jar here, it's getting kind of nasty right now, but the reason there's drips on the outside here is because when it's healthy, it fills this jar all the way up to the top. But you can see it's hard to tell, but right now it's only about half full. So it'll bubble up when it's really feeding well, and it'll overfill this jar and kind of leak out. And so also when you have it on your countertop, I would put it in with a lid, but don't put the lid on tight because a lot of gases are building up. So you just kind of put the lid on like finger tight and leave it on your countertop. I have been leaving mine, I just use room temperature water. So I have a Brita that I leave on my counter, and whatever that temperature is, I feed it, and that's what I use for my water. So I put 100 grams of water and 100 grams of all-purpose King Arthur unbleached flour, and do that. If you want accelerated results, you can warm your water up. If you've got like a thermometer, take the 100 grams of water and either measure the water as it's coming out of your faucet, or you can take the water and nuke it and get it to about 80, 85, something like that, not too warm, and that'll kind of reinvigorate the yeast in there. And I wouldn't put it back in your fridge until you're ready to bake. So what'll happen is you'll end up with a whole bunch of this, right? So the reason I don't feed mine every day is because I'm not baking every day right now, and it ends up wasting a lot. And I noticed that I can keep it on my counter for a couple days, and it'll stay healthy and come back to life if I feed it a few times and I'm ready to bake. So I can just do this, feed it a couple times a week. So I would, if I were you, leave it out, and then if you want to put it away in the fridge for a while, it'll probably stay in the fridge for weeks, maybe a month, I don't know, longer. I have some in the fridge now. I usually keep a backup jar in there. I'll take some of this pour off, feed it, put it in the fridge, and that way I have a backup in case something happens to my main batch here on the counter. And when you feed it this way too, you'll always have some left over so that you will never run out. So they might have given you enough to bake some bread, but what you really want to do is feed it, and then you can take some of that off to create your levain. I'll send you a video that's pretty cool of this guy I follow, and then you'll end up having a little bit left over. So I don't know if that's super confusing or not, but I will show you what I do here. I'll try to video it. First thing I do, and I don't really weigh this much anymore. I used to be very anal about it. I take this and let's see if I can get this in the shot. I take this and I just pour. See how liquidy that is? It shouldn't be that liquidy when you're ready to bake with it. Now it's still got bubbles, so that's good. And 25 grams is not a lot. Like, it's just like a little bit in the bottom of the jar. That's probably more than 25 grams, but I'll leave it in there. And this, honestly, you can actually fry it up as a pancake. It's pretty good. Put like a little green onion in it, maybe salt, pepper, hot sauce, and it's really, really tasty. Or you just chop it, whatever. So then you take your scale out. I'll tare it. So that's 0. And I use the all-purpose flour. I don't think I have enough in this bag, but I've got like 60 pounds in my no, I got like 100 pounds in my. You probably can get away with less, but this is just the recipe I've been using for a while. So that's 86. The most important thing, so now I'm at 101. That's pretty good. Sometimes I go over. Now I'm going to add my water. Sometimes I'll go over and I might hit 106. And I just make sure that I add then an extra 6 grams of water. So for 101, that's going to be close enough if I can get to 101 on the water. The water's a lot harder to regulate because it comes out faster. There's 89, 92, 99. So that's close enough. And then you just take a spoon or something, stir it up. It's still going to be really wet. It's not supposed to be, but you can see already like how much thicker it is. And if you have a spatula, you can scrape down the sides. I don't necessarily always do it, but I do like to make sure I get the corners down here so there's no dry flour. Scrape it all down. Take this goodness off with my fingers. Put it in there. But you can see like already like it's just much thicker, and once it gets bubbling, it'll get going. Just gotta rinse my hands off. But even if it's a healthy starter, you should notice bubbles like really soon. So again, I'm just gonna put my lid on here. Finger tight. In fact, I just set it on here. So this is crusty. I usually clean it off every few feedings. See, I'm already seeing bubbles in there. Some of that's just air trap from stirring it, but I will put this on my counter. And what you want to do after you feed it is you want to see eventually this doubling. So sometimes just putting a rubber band on here, and then it's, I have rubber bands, and then you can easily see when it doubles, so you don't have to hear. So let that sit on your counter and feed it again. If you're getting ready to bake in the next couple days, feed it again 2 or 3 times, so in 12 hours or whatever. Okay.